everyone, this is P4L, and today's P4L review will be taking a look at KFC's E.A.V.I. Metal Phase 6 A and B, and that's their Crash Hog and Dumpyard, their versions of a masterpiece, Wreckgar and Junkyard, I believe. And these are actually the TFCon Canada 2016 or Toronto 2016 exclusive early releases, but that was a couple months ago, and I've just been really busy with actual work that this is my first review in what seems like a couple months. So I apologize for all you subscribers, but I'm going to try to get back on track here. But yeah, so this is going to be a review for both of these. They're going to be pretty much the same as the regular release. The TFCon exclusive just really had these nicely designed cardboard boxes that are kind of more junky and stuff, and pretty plain. But the actual figures themselves, from what I understand, are by and large the exact same. So let's get these out of the way. Alright, so out of the box, this is kind of what you get. Kind of down the middle here to the right we have the Dumpyard gear, and to the left we have Crash Hog stuff. So in addition to the instructions, which come with the same comic and a series of instructions, they also have, with Crash Hog, you have this little boxy thing which can store some of the goodies that you have down here. You can open up, and this is kind of the makeshift instrument that they celebrate on playing a Junkion with when they're in the movie. He's just banging on it with a stick or something like that. Here's his little TV where he learned English. His little bio stack card, so we'll take a quick look at these. So there's Crash Hog, really nice artwork. I really like this style. It's nice and anime-ish. You can see his stats. And you can see he's Phase 6A. Here's Dumpyard, and he's Phase 6B. Slightly different stats and different colors. Not sure why, but yeah. We'll move those off to the side. He also they both come with a set of these little nubby things. I'm not sure what they're for. They might be for decoration. I think you can also use them when going into alt mode to hold together some of the halves of the figure, but we'll actually explore that a bit more. This is actually kind of three pieces. This piece comes off here, and these two halves with these springs, which actually work, will form the front shocks for the alt mode. But you can go ahead and link them together like so to form a weapon. And they have little handle pieces. You can use one maybe to bang on this or whatever. But yeah, they have little tabs that go in the hand. Same thing over here, which I missed really quick. And then a series of guns. So he gets 3 guns, which seems kind of excessive, especially for a guy who gets basically all his weapons from a junkyard. You wouldn't think he'd have an excessive amount of advanced weaponry, but he does. So that's all you get with Crash Hog, in addition to his wheels that are already on him. With Dumpyard, you get a little bit different stuff. You get this blade, which is very nice, very cool looking, serrated on one edge. Nice paint right there. You get, again, these kind of weird peg pieces. You do get a couple of these, which Crash Hog does come with, I think 4 of them already installed, but these are just optional decor or decorations that you can add on to various ports on either of the robot modes. And then again, a couple of extra guns. So yeah, that's it with everything that's included. Let's go ahead and get these guys out of the packaging. So here we have those two out of the packaging, and one thing I will note with the packaging is that KFC's been doing a really good job. They like bag each of the figures individually before they go into the clamshell, and even the box themselves come in a plastic bag, which is really nice. So they're stepping up their game. They've been doing that for a while, but I wanted to at least put that out there so that everybody knows that their packaging is quite nice. Their actual packaging for the retail version of the box is really nice as well. Nice, cool artwork, very much in the style as their cards. So I very much like that. I would love to get at least a box of the retail packaging. But you can see here that Crash Hog can kind of ride on Dumpyard and vice versa. It scales pretty well with the Masterpiece line. You could probably get a smaller figure on here as well, but I think this works pretty well. And if you look at the movie, they are kind of smaller bikes in comparison to the robots. You see them switch around and jump off and transform and switch places. So it's very cool that they're doing this, and the fact that there are a lot of interchangeable parts and pieces and extra little modular pieces is really nice. So I really like this set. I'll start that off up front. Overall aesthetics, I really like Wreckgar. There are a couple things that have changed since the early version. So his face was gray in the early sample that people saw. People didn't seem to like that. They liked the more movie kind of yellowish, I guess, color or beige color. I'm not really sure. But he's had both gray and beige. I prefer this one. I think it sticks to the movie aesthetic, which I prefer more than the cartoon. But again, it's animation, 80s animation. It changes color all the time. So if you like the gray one, I apologize that the fan spoke and outvoiced your opinion. So yeah, let's go ahead and take these off. This looks good. Again, they tab into place. We'll put that off to the side for now. And the way we're going to handle this review is we're going to go from his robot to alt for transformation, and then when we get there, we'll get from his alt to his robot, so you can see both. And at the end, we'll show kind of the modularity and part swapping portion. Again, with these guns, they're very nice. They have the nice tabs, and they fit very securely in the hands, the KFC hands. And then they also have some 5mm pegs, which work in conjunction with a variety of ports all over this guy's body. Alright, in both alt and robot mode. So again, very, very cool modularity. He does have his wheels, which also feature pegs that can go into a variety of places. They come stock on the legs. They are nice rubber, hard rubber tires. And I'm not sure if this is, no, I don't think this is die-cast, but they do spin really well. This is a harder plastic, but it shouldn't hurt you too badly if you grab onto it too hard. So let's move that off to the side. Taking a look at just his robot mode, let's start off with the head sculpt really quickly. And I think they did a really nice job with this head sculpt. He looks very much like Wreckgar. He does have like this soft plastic for his facial features, which look very... He's always looked kind of evil to me. He even has the red eyes and kind of the sinister, devil-like goatee going on. But then you have his personality where he's just funny and goofy. So it's a really weird juxtaposition. He does have little antennae that go around like that, and his head is on a swivel and a hinge. He doesn't get a lot of left and right, just because of, well, he can, but then his little goatee kind of gets in the way and pushes up. These things are also modular. I'm not really sure why, but if you want, you can shoot these out. So that's really it for the head sculpt. Very nice looking. I like the metallic red eyes. Articulation wise, he does have ratchets going around like that. Soft ratchets going in and out. These are one of the many places where you can swap around parts like that. The ratchets aren't as smooth as, say, the X-transbots Scourge, which I really liked, or the KFC Reflector, which I really liked. But they're still quite nice, and a lot of different ratcheting points. He does have double jointed elbows. The top one is not ratcheted, but the bottom one is. It does have kind of a weird back of the arm thing going on. And we'll take a look at a quick 360 a bit later, but that's really for transformation purposes. He does have little side saddlebags, which I think are on ball joints, or maybe on a hinge and a swivel. Maybe that's it, I can't really tell. But they actually open up if you push up on the top here. Come on. They open up. You can store like the TV in there or those extra bits. He does have a waist ratchet. No ab crunch, which is not a huge deal for me. His hip skirts do move out and out of the way a little bit. Oops, this part came off. To allow you to get your leg ratcheting legs forward and back. No ratchets out to the side. It's just friction, but they're okay. A little bit of looseness here and play there, but once you get out about there, it holds quite securely, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. I wish the hip skirts didn't have that much interference. You can probably force it through to get a little bit more forward, but in the other case you can actually, for transformation, untab this crotch piece, and then you can flip that up if you need to get it past that regular point of articulation, and then you can get a little bit more leg room. But yeah, I wish they clean that up just a little bit, make it a little bit easier to use. He does have a thigh swivel, which is nice. Ratcheted 90-degree knee. And his feet are on kind of like this hinge here, so you get some toe. But it's also on a ball. I think it's on a ball joint. No, it's just a swivel here, but then there's also a swivel up. There's a swivel up there, and this hinge here. So I guess that all works in conjunction. And then another tilt there. So he does have quite a nice ankle tilt. He does have a little extra heel spur. When he comes in packaging, it is folded up. I don't really find it that necessary, but if you want to use it, you can go ahead and flip that out. I actually would have liked it better if they kept it the same color. But whatever, not a big deal. So I think that's it for overall articulation for this guy in robot mode. Let's do a quick 360. He does have a little butt flap. That's the one thing. You can see it from here. You can tilt it up to kind of get it less viewable. And you can actually, I think it's on a ball joint here. You can actually try to spin it around like this if you want, to get it flipped up if you want. But yeah, see, it causes some stressing there, which you can get rid of with a kind of hair dryer or something like that. But I wouldn't recommend it. You can just lift it back up or leave it down. He kind of has the butt flap. He's not the first Transformer. I'm sure he won't be the last to have that. Overall paint is quite nice quality plastic, and then he has some paint flame details here, paint on the arms. There's a lot more paint than what you see, like the legs are, I think thighs are die cast, and I think part of the leg is die cast. I'm not really sure which part. Oh yeah, like the toe is die cast. So there's a lot more paint than what you may think from first blush, but it's actually quite nice. A little bit more paint details or some repro labels would be really nice. So if they come out with some, I'll definitely buy them. But yeah, overall, from a quick 360 standpoint, I think they did a really great job recreating Wreckgar. The transformation is, while quite simple, it also has some fiddly bits. And I'm going to try to explain a couple parts which people have been struggling with quite a bit in detail. So hopefully that'll help you guys out. So like I said, the first thing we'll do is go from robot to alt, and then we'll have Dumpyard's alt to robot. So let's get into robot to alt transformation. So the first thing we'll do is actually deal with the upper body. And so the first thing we'll do is, so the instructions are a bit weird, and actually one page of Crash Hog's instructions is upside down randomly. But the first thing we'll do is open up this chest. It untabs here. And you can fold these antennae back to get some extra clearance. And then fold the head up. From here, you're going to untab the backpack. There's 2 tabs on each side. This whole piece here will hinge up like that. And what you really want to do is get out the handle, all this junk that's kind of stored in the main body. This on a series of hinges is like 3 or 4 hinges here. You want to get this up like this and just out of the way. From here, these handlebars are what people have the most problem with. These are die cast. What you want to do is swivel them all the way around so they're facing down, like so. And then you're gonna need to get them cleared through here. The easiest way to do this though is a lot of people don't realize, but you can actually. A lot of people will not realize that you can actually pull this back, this hinge back like this, upwards. People will make use of the one going down, but they won't make use of it going back like this. And that gives you an extra point of articulation, makes the clearance a lot easier. So let's go ahead and do that. Just gonna work these. Oops. So some of these pieces, like the side view mirror and the brakes and clutch, are just friction pieces. They tend to fall off just because they're not that tight. The tolerances aren't that tight. So if you have to, go ahead and remove them, but you don't actually need to. I'm just not gonna bother. I'm not gonna bother showing you the transformation with them on because it's not necessary. So once you get that through, see. My handlebars went really through because I made use of this hinge going backwards like this. Okay? Same thing here. Now you gotta get the, what is it called? The windshield, I guess, through. And that's the other part. Again, if you don't use this this hinge flexing back like this, you're gonna have a much harder time. So just be aware of that. It is a little tight the first time, pulling it back like this, but once you get it through once or twice, it should be totally fine. So once you have that problem solved, the rest of the transformation is pretty easy. Just get the clutch and the brake around like this. This part was like this. Fold out the rear view mirrors like that, and then straighten out the handlebars. Once you have that done, flip this piece up, which is on a little hinge there. Get this back down. This little notch will go in this piece here, and then these two clear pegs will go into these two holes there, like so. See, it's not that bad once you realize that you actually have that extra bit of articulation back here. So once that's done, you can go back to the head. That's gonna sit all the way back. You can see there's a little indent here for this to reside in. Now we're gonna deal with the arms. The arms, you can keep these or not keep these, whatever you want to do. I leave them like this for now. You're gonna rotate the arm's supposed to come off like this for modularity and customization of your Junkion army, but you want to rotate 180 degrees. And then you're going to fold this at the lower elbow joint all the way back, and you can see that that resides in there. Alright, so keep the arm straight, just bend the lower arm piece. The sides, where the shoulders are, come untabbed here. You want to fold these around so that they're straight, like this. Once you have that done, this piece will fold back down. Oops, you can get that arm down like this. And these will tab onto the front here. And these should be almost parallel to the ground. The arms should be almost parallel to the ground. Oh, the last thing we'll do, since we have all this done, is tab this piece back into the back, but it actually slides. So originally in robot mode it's near the back. You want to slide it forward, and you'll see that there's two sets of tabs. You want to tab into the front, the one closer to the front. So the next part is the lower body. First thing we'll do is untab the crotch like we showed before. Come on. Flip that up, flip these flat. This is going to sit something like this-ish, but we'll worry about that later. You're going to flip this piece up, flip this piece up, and then there's similar tabs on his forearms here. And if I had my spudger near me, I would have used that. But anyway, so you get these up, 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 and these tabs will actually help form the rest of the secure connections. For me personally, I find that rotating the hands like this is the best way to get them stored in alt mode, and I'll show you why once we get to that point. But let's just get them prepared for now. Alright, from here, we're going to deal with the feet. We're going to go ahead and fold in that little heel spur. We're going to fold down the toes or feet, rotate 180 degrees, and these little orange bits will fold out like this. You're going to extend at the lower leg, and this mechanism actually works really well. I don't like extending legs, but these actually work quite well. And from here, you're going to rotate or bend at the joint here, and that tab is going to go into that little slot there on both legs, but we'll just do one at a time. So we'll get that in. This crotch piece here will have a tab that corresponds to that leg piece there, but we're going to deal with that later. And the hand actually needs to go into this orange piece, while simultaneously this tab goes into the bottom of the foot. So I deal with the tab first just because it's kind of the guiding point. Oh, and so the thumb, I get around to the side like this. Okay. So again, tap that in, the fingers go in, and then you should be able to extend that orange piece. Like so. Pretty easy. And then you can go ahead and tab that part in. So yeah, now we're going to go deal with the other side the same way. Again, these little pieces keep coming undone. Fold this at the joint there. That tabs in. Get the fingers curled up kind of like this. I don't ball them all the way up, and get the thumb out and to the side. Then you're going to get the hand kind of in like this. Get the foot tabbed in, close this up, and we're good with this little piece falling out again. Now we're going to start dealing with some of these accessories. The only ones you really need are the wheels and this piece here. So there are a couple of options actually. So before we tab everything else together, let's go ahead and tab in the wheels, then tab into two halves. There's that crotch piece here, and then these two interlocking tabs at the lower part of the leg. There we go. And from here you actually have an option. You can do kind of more of a G1 toy look by tabbing in here, which kind of shortens it up a bit, or the nicer, more modern transformation is to take these. I forget which one it is. Okay, so this one goes here. They have corresponding pegs and peg holes. This can go like that. Same thing with this side. Turn this like so. And then you can go ahead and get that front wheel in between these two pairs of shocks. And because of the articulation here, you can actually give it a little bit of wiggle. But yeah, that gives you a more modern looking alt mode or front mode. Get the saddlebags turned around like this, and we're almost done. The last part is you're going to want to pull back on these orange sections to release these tabs. You're going to want to kind of bring them down like this. Because of the way that they're on small ball joints, and because of the, I guess, what is it called? Conflicts that they have, it's sometimes hard to get them situated without popping them off the ball joints. And then once they get that and widen out the rear, they tap in there. And with that, you have Crash Hog or Dumpyard, depending on which figure you're working with, in alt mode. In terms of options, he does have some die-cast kickstands, like so, which make it very easy to display. All these different pieces can peg in various places. I'm not going to show off all the different variations, but you can go ahead and peg this in here. Probably get one of these guns back here if you wanted. But yeah, lots of different options. It looks really nice. Looks very good. Nice yellow paint. Again, a little bit more paint would have been nice, but there is actually quite a bit already on here that you're just probably like, oh, that's just plastic. It's actually not. There's paint here, and on the feet, I think here as well. So they did quite a nice job. And they're supposed to be pretty dull anyway. Again, they're made of junk parts. The die-cast handles are really nice. These are the only bits that are really pretty frustrating or fiddly, and they don't look very good. They're just dull gray plastic, and so they don't really match up with the nice chromed out pieces on the handle. And the handlebars do actually steer, so you can go left and right a bit, kind of at an odd angle, I think, because again, they're almost going up and down as opposed to left and right, as I would think they would to control this. But that's fine. It's still nice articulation to add on. Throw this on here if you want, I suppose. But yeah, overall, quite a nice alt mode. Again, the wheels spin quite well. And the addition of the kickstand is quite nice. With the variety of other, you know, the weapons from Dumpyard, you can armor him up in various ways. You can you can get these extra pegs, put them on here. Maybe these are supposed to be for like footrests that you can plug in there while you're riding. That might make sense. You can fold these up. And you can see that there's quite a bit of a difference in the two molds. While they do reuse a lot of parts and the overall transformation, you can see that this part is different here, the legs. And you can see that he has actually a set of molded extra wheels down there, which is cool. Very different. He doesn't have the saddlebags, he does. He has these kind of spiky things. And again, you can mix and match them however you like. So the display options are quite numerous. He has this little weird tailpiecey thing that you can remove. The plastic itself, I think they're the same color. He looks a little bit darker to me for some reason. The front, you can see the chest is very different. And then he has these weird kind of pieces here. I'm not sure if these actually... Yeah, they don't look like they actually correspond, which is interesting. I would think that you'd be able to plug this one in here, but doesn't look like it. Yeah, they're not even the same size. Interesting. So I'm guessing that at some point we'll get kind of the same thing to do with a Scourge mold, kind of like a swarm pack with these guys as well, but I guess we'll have to see if that's the case or not. So yeah, that's it for kind of the alt mode review overall, I would say. Again, really nicely done. I'm really impressed. This is probably my favorite set of figures from KFC thus far. Sorry about that. So then now we're going to go ahead and transform him back into robot mode so you guys have those instructions as well. So let's go ahead and take these off. For him, if you have these kind of things on, you're going to want to remove those. You don't have to remove these little side pieces, but if you want to, you can. Fold up the kickstands. From here, what we'll do is basically go backwards. Oh, we're going to need to take this part off too. We're going to go backwards. The first thing I like to do is just kind of get rid of all the extraneous stuff. So these little pieces here. Again, you can form them into their own sets of weapons if you want. And again, because of the variety, you can do a lot of different things. So, for example, let's go ahead and get the back wheel off too. I just separated the front and back halves. You can tap them all like this, so you have kind of like a dual-ended wheel thing. Or you can plug in like this to have something else a little bit meaner. Again, a variety of different stuff that I quite like. We're going to go ahead and get that split apart to get those wheels out. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get the saddle or the seat or whatever that is back in. I like to rotate them like this to give you a little bit more clearance and then fold them in. I think that's the best way. Otherwise you get them to pop off the ball joints quite a bit. So there we go. Next thing we'll do is untab these toe pieces, get the hands kind of out of here, and just straighten out the legs. You can fold up these horn pieces back into the foot. I'm going to rotate the toes or feet, straighten them out, fold out those heels if you can get at them or if you want them. Now this one's kind of folded flat. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it with my fingernail. Okay, you know, that's fine. So once you have that done, go ahead and fold these pieces down. Collapse at the lower leg. Tab in the crotch. Oh, see, so I made a mistake here. So again, you're going to want to get these crotch pieces or whatever the hip skirt's folded down first before you tab that in. And the lower body's done. Pretty easy. Upper body, we're going to go ahead and untab this section here on both sides. Fold that down. The shoulders will peg in here. Go ahead and straighten out the arms. And because we did rotate them 180 degrees, we're going to want to do that here. And then you can fix the hands. One thing I did note on this one is that because this piece is painted on Dumpyard and it tabs in, the friction has scraped off the paint on this piece, which is kind of a bummer. But it's only on that side for some reason. This side seems to be fine. But yeah, let's get that done. You can go ahead and pull the head out. Get these little horn pieces out. Alright, now we're going to deal with the difficult part again. Or the part that people seem to have the most problem with. So untab or unpeg these two pieces, the windshield. And then again, pull up on that hinge so it folds all the way back. That gives you way more room to work with. You're going to fold the handles in. Oops, sorry about that. You're going to fold the handles in. While you're doing that, go ahead and tuck in the brake and the clutch. Like that. And then fold down the rear view mirrors. You want them kind of folding on top of each other like this. And you want them about parallel. Alright, so from here, you're going to tuck in the windshield. Like that. Like that, so it goes through. Then you get the handlebars through as much as you can. Again, that one piece sometimes will get in the way. But you just want to get through like that. It's not that hard once you realize, again, the biggest thing, and I keep repeating it, is that you have to make use of this hinge here and fold it outwards. Once you have that done, the handlebars are in. Not that hard. The tolerances are pretty tight, but they don't cause collisions unless you don't use that hinge properly. Alright, so this is the other part that is not tricky, but one thing that made me struggle a bit. So once you get the windshield in, you also need to get the horns to go inside the main body. And this is where it's easier if you open these up and then you can kind of see. The horns are going to go into this little set of gap. Yeah, you'll see that there's openings there, way down in here, on the orange section. I'm just going to remove this off to the side for now. You want to get these, well, I keep calling them horns, but the horny handle pieces. They're going to go into that gap, and you're going to see them. You're going to see them come down like this. See? I removed this part. This part is modular, so it's supposed to come off, but I didn't mean for it to come off, but it actually worked out well since I wanted to show you that that's how the horns actually come into play. Not the handles come into play. I keep calling them horns. And the other portion is, because there's a series of extra hinges here, the way to get this oriented is that you want to get this backpack piece to sit almost flush, and you want these double hinges kind of in line underneath it. And remember, this part slides. The tank slides, the gas tank slides. You need to have that slide down for the backpack mode in robot mode. So again, getting this aligned, this should be flat, and then getting these two hinges vertically underneath one another. Tab that in. that should give you the space to sit the neck flat, and then you'll see that little orange piece on the neck piece will go into that slot there. And you just fold down the chest pieces, fold this all the way down, and you're in robot mode. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, sorry. And then close these up. You can actually leave them out or angle them if you want. There's a series of hinges as well, but the official transformation calls for you to close them up like that, and they tab into the sides. And they cover up the handlebars, or what I've been calling the horns this whole time, so you don't see them. But again, that's from the side, so it's an option for you. Make use of this however you want. And I don't think I mentioned it, but the springs or shocks are actually operational. Stand up. Come on. Are actually operational, are actually functional. So Vangelis will be very happy that a figure actually has working shocks. I think the last figure that I realized had working shocks was MP1 Master Beast Prime, or working suspension. Now this is bothering me. That it's a good thing I haven't cut my nails in a while, but it's not. There we go. Oh, so the handlebar piece, or the rear view mirror, popped off, but I showed you guys that. If you want to fill in some of these holes, you can probably do that with that here. And I think he's supposed to have these kind of on the shoulders, like this, for his kind of G1-esque look. So as far as modularity, we'll get into that once I transform Crash Hog back. But by and large, this is a really nice set. Very cool. The things that we'll go into in just a second will be the modularity. But again, the transformation, while it does provide some challenges if you're not kind of aware of kind of the neat tricks. Hopefully I showed that off to you guys. But overall, this figure is really, really nice. The best from KFC so far in terms of overall quality, in terms of transformation. Not a lot of issues with him. Dumpyard, again, has a lot of differences in terms of molded details. So you're not just getting the same exact figure twice, which is nice. You're getting some extra molded pieces, a different face, a different set of horns, and these are actually the horns, different colors, different chest pieces, and we'll show off more of that in a bit. And you even get a few different sets of accessories, which is, again, really, really nice. So give me a second, I'll be right back with Crash Hog. Alright, so I forgot to do some quick comparisons for height before I go into the modularity stuff. So here he is with MP Hot Rod. Here they are with MP10, and then another movie figure. Let's see. We can go with a third-party Blur. And I think that scales really well. Again, I think everyone's kind of in agreement that Hot Rod is kind of tiny, but again, that's before his transformation to Hot Rodimus, or Hot Rodimus, or whatever you want to call him. So there's some argument there for that. So in terms of modularity, there's a lot going on. The piece that I showed you before is you can kind of swap arms. So these are kind of like the major pieces that you can swap. We've already talked about like the 5mm pegs and different accessories like that. So that's not a huge deal. There you go, and that's just friction. And the friction, the tolerances are quite tight, so they shouldn't just fall off. Maybe when you do transformation, that might be the case. So you can do that. And the other piece is the main chest area. So go ahead and untab that. Flip these up, and just pull out on here, and they're tabbed in with four tabs there. So same thing on this side, just go ahead and flip these tabs up. Get this flipped up. Pull, oops. I don't think that was supposed to happen. But it should be okay. It's just a tabbed on piece. Yeah. And then this will go on like this. Close up. Close this down. Close this down. There we go. Same thing over here. Come on. There we go. And so you got some mixed and matched Junkions going on. So yeah, my final thoughts on these guys are that, again, they're super impressive. The fact that that they're well designed and they have this built-in playability with the different swapping pieces and the mixing match parts and the fun accessories that aren't really necessary but cool additions, like the little TV as well. I mean, all this comes into play when you have a collection, right? I think playability is kind of one of those things that some people kind of neglect when designing really nice figures. They look at the alt mode and robot mode and just want to get that spot on, and sometimes ignore the transformation that might be frustrating and not very fun. But this adds on top of that just the playability and customization of your Junkion army. So if they do release kind of like a swarm kit like they do with the Scourge mold, I think people would be very happy to pick them up and create their army of Junkions. And especially if they all have, you know, these different types of personalities. Like, I think there's like a medic one or something like that. We've seen those kind of kits, third-party kits for the classics Wreckgar. So I'm sure that if they were to do this, given the quality of the plastic and the figure and transformation and just overall fun factor, I think they would still sell pretty well. Alright, if you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below. Hopefully these tips on the transformation helped you guys out. If I missed anything or if I got something wrong, please let me know as well, and I'll try to make sure to correct that. But with that, I think not too bad for my first review in a couple months. Back to my old lengthy reviews. But yeah, I should be getting back to doing more of them as we move forward. That said, Toy Dojo has also been working on their official channel with Jack, and he's been doing a lot of great reviews and previews. So if you haven't checked that out, the official Toy Dojo YouTube page and their reviews and previews, please go ahead and do that as well. Alright, thanks a lot everyone, have a good one.